Hello everyone, please do hurry and join the live class so that we can start the live session. Please do hurry and join the live class so that we can start the live session, and make sure that the audio and video are clear to everyone. Those who are joined, please mention in comment section. Hello everyone, a very good evening to all of you, and welcome to the another live class of Eduins. Today we will start our science journey actually from the first chapter, that is named as chemical reactions and equations. So we will start today the first class of your science, that is including the chemistry. So in first class we will specifically discuss about your first introductory class actually. So we will discuss about what is the chemical reaction, what is chemicals, like this. Before that, those who are joined newly in our channel, please make sure to subscribe our channel Eduins CBSE, where you can get every day a free demo live class in our channel Eduins CBSE. So make sure you subscribe the channel, and also don't forget to click the bell icon, that you should not miss any notification of live and recorded classes. So go ahead for the journey for the first class of chemical reactions and equations. So what is chemical reaction? Before that, before going to the discussion of chemical reaction and equations, in our class 9 we have already studied that the changes, okay, the changes in the substance is called the reaction. What is reaction? Reaction is actually the changes of the properties of some substances, maybe physically or chemically. This is called reaction. As a simple and very easy example, that is melting of ice. Okay, melting of ice or freezing of water. Freezing of water. These are the changes of the state. These are the changes of the state of the substance, that is either water, or it become ice, or when the water become warmed after melting the ice, it become water. When the water is heated, it will form the vapor. Okay, it will form the vapor. So it's actually changed its state, and this is reversible, because from the freezing of water it produce or it converted into ice. But when the ice is melt, then it become the water. Okay, and when the water is heated, it become the vapor, and when the vapor is cooled down, it become the water. So these are the changes of state actually. So these are the changes of state, and these changes is known as the reactions. Okay, so first of all, these are the changes which is known as the change in the state of any substance. So what is reaction? Reaction is actually reacting of some substances, one or two or more substances in a specific condition. Like your water is formed. How water is formed? If we look for the formula of the water, that is H2O. Okay, H2O, which is formed from hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen. It will form water. So this is called reaction. Clear? So what is reaction? The changes of the chemical properties or chemical composition of two or more substances to form a new property, new substance with new properties. Okay, so here the change, what is change in case of science or in your chemistry? The change is a process where one or more substances are transformed into new substance with distinct properties. Of course, new substance or substances with distinct properties. Like what changes? Changes in color, changes in state, changes in temperature. Okay, so based on the change, based on these changes, that is the one or more substance changes or transformed into new with distinct properties. Based on these criteria, the change in chemistry are categorized into two substances. Okay, or two categories. Two categories. Okay, what are they? The change, this is not change, this is the chemical change. Okay, leave it. Based on these criteria, the change is categorized into two types. What are they? One of them is physical change, and another one is chemical change. So what is physical change? What is physical change? Physical change actually changing the physical condition. Like what? Like the water frozen or freezing the water, it will form the ice. When this ice is get heated, it will transform into water. When the water is heated, it will form the water vapor. And when the vapor is cooled down, it will form the water. So changing the state, changing the physical condition or the physical appearance, this is known as the physical change. So for an example of physical change, that is the melting of ice or vaporizing the water or evaporation of water or the freezing of water, these are the examples of physical change. What is the chemical change? Chemical change is the change that composition of a substance become changed. How? The composition, like in case of water, that is H2O. How it will form? By reacting hydrogen plus oxygen, it will form the water. So hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is also a gas. By reacting these two gas, it will form a liquid. Clear? This is the change of chemical change. It actually converted, or it actually changed its property. Like hydrogen is a individual gas, oxygen is also a gas. They have different properties, but the water is different from this gas, and this change is called the chemical change. Clear? Clear to all of you? I hope this is clear to all of you. Now, we will look for the chemical change. Why? Because our chapter name is chemical reaction and equation. So the physical change we all already learned that what is physical change, but we only focus in this chapter, that is the chemical change. The chemical change in chemistry is a process where one or more substances are transformed into new different substances with distinct chemical properties. So what are the main points or focus point? The chemical change in chemistry, the process where chemical change is a process where one or more substances are transformed into new, okay, different substances with distinct chemical properties, okay, like that is hydrogen plus oxygen, it will form the water. Simple example. So the example of physical and chemical change, that is the melting of ice and burning of wood. Okay, the simple example in our daily life, it is a important question for your exam, that is the named or give an example of a physical change or a chemical change in our daily life. So melting of ice and burning of wood. These are the examples of physical and chemical change respectively. Clear? Now came to a question or a discussion part, that is identify the changes. What changes? Carding of in our daily life, actually based on our daily life, the examples are based on our daily life, that is carding of milk, cooking of food, boiling of water, rusting on iron, crumbling of paper, burning of candle. What type of changes are those? What kind of changes? First, the carding of milk. The carding of milk. So our mother took some milk to form the curd. This curd is contain a good bacteria which is known as lactobacillus. This is not our part. From this curd, the question is, from this curd we can produce the milk. From the milk we produce the curd. Is it possible? From the curd produce the milk? Is it possible? Yes or no? Please let me know in the comment section. Is it possible? From the milk we produce the curd. From the curd we can produce the milk. No, we can't produce the milk from the curd because this is the chemical change. The milk change its chemical composition when formed the curd. So this is a chemical change. So this is a chemical change. Okay, next, cooking of food. Somehow just assume that your mother cooked the biryani. Okay, biryani. Is it possible from the rice of the biryani or from the boiled rice of the biryani, can you prepare the raw rice? Can we prepare? No. So this is also a chemical change. So cooking of food is also an example of chemical change. The next one, boiling of water. When we boil water, what happens? So when we boiled water, what happened to it? It will get evaporate, right? It will get evaporate. So it change its state. When the vapor is get cooled down, it will form the water droplets. Clear? So the boiling of water is the example of physical change. Physical change. Now the question is rusting on iron. We know that the iron materials like the keys, like the rods become rust. Okay, after getting or exposed into the humid weather, humid condition, it will cover a brown color layer which is known as rust. So from the rust we can get the iron? No. So this is the also the chemical change. This is also a chemical change. Crumbling of paper. You crumble your some paper when you draw something. This is not good, so you crumble the page. So is it a chemical change or physical change? It is the physical change. Why? Because the state of the paper is changed, but not the chemical composition of the paper gets changed. So the crumbling of paper is also an example of physical change. Okay, next, the burning of candle. Here have an interesting thing. What? Okay, so here ask the burning of candle. Burning of candle. When we lighted the candle, here two reactions occurs. What are they? First of all, the burning of candle, which is actually the chemical change, because by this burning of candle it will produce the carbon dioxide. Okay, but if we look down of the candle, we will observe that some part of the candle, that is wax, the wax is melted. The melted wax is get down. So this is the physical change. So this is very, very important. That is name of a reaction or name of an incident where the physical and chemical change occurs simultaneously, or the physical and chemical change occurs in one incident. Okay, so the burning of candle is the chemical change and melting of the candle is physical change. So burning of candle is chemical change. Clear? And the reaction or the incident where the physical and chemical change occurs simultaneously, that is burning and melting candle. Burning and melting of candle. Clear? So these are the examples of physical and chemical changes in our daily life. Clear? Now come to the next part, that is the chemical reaction. What is chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is a process in which substances undergoes a transformation and resulting formation of new substance or substances by changing their chemical properties. So the key point or highlighted point will be it is a process, of course, chemical reaction. What is chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is a process in which substances undergoes a transformation and resulting formation of new substance or substances by changing their chemical properties. Clear? So the key points, that is the substances undergoes the transformation and results formation of new substance or substances which change their chemical properties. This is known as the chemical reaction. So basically the chemical reaction, actually the products or the reactants, what are the reactants and what are the products, will come to next. The substances in general, the substances change its chemical properties and form a new substance or form different new substances. This process is known as the chemical reaction. And the chemical equation, so that's from the chapter name, that is chemical reaction and equation. The chemical reaction we have already learned. What is the chemical equation? Chemical equation is the process, is the method of representing of chemical reaction with the help of symbols and formulae of the substances. So chemical equation is actually the method of representation of a chemical reaction. How? That is the hydrogen and oxygen get react and form the water. So the hydrogen and oxygen These are called reactants. And the water which is formed, this is called products. This is called product or products. So the substances which actually, those who are participated actually in the chemical reaction is known as the reactants, and the newly formed substance or substances with a new chemical properties, these product or this substance or these substances are known as product or products. Clear? So what are the chemical reaction, what is chemical equation, what is reactant, and what is product? You have to learn these basic things, these basic terminologies. That is the chemical reaction, that is the chemical equation, that is reactants, and also the product. Clear? Clear to all of you? Okay, now come to the next part, that is the properties of chemical reaction. What are the properties of chemical reaction? First properties, that is formation of precipitate. So precipitation, like two products or more than two products and more than two substances, that is reactants, are reacting with each other and formed a new product which is precipitated down to the reactant tube or the test tube. Okay, so we are going for the examples, of course, but first of all we have to learn the chemical property, the properties of the chemical reaction. So formation of precipitate or formation of precipitate or formation of precipitation, like actually this is the some chemical reaction that are characterized by formation of a precipitate. Okay, so these are called the formation of precipitate or the precipitation. Next one, that is change in color. That is color change. Actually a very easy example, that is when the food, that is turmeric, all the food or the cooked food contain the turmeric. Okay, so it will give a stain when the food dropped in your shirt or in your cloth. It will take or it will leave a stain. When you add some detergent on it, it will change its color into red. Okay, so from the yellow color it will change into red color. So these are the properties. This is the example of change or of the properties of chemical reaction, that is from the turmeric yellow color to the red color. So this is the example of change in color. Next one is evolution of gas. The gas is evolved, okay, from the reaction of a chemical, from our chemical reaction, maybe the gas can be evolved. Next one is change in temperature. Change in temperature. Change in temperature means what? This change in temperature is actually divided into two types, that is exothermic and endothermic. Endothermic, exothermic and endothermic. Now tell me, what is exothermic and what is endothermic? What do you mean by this? Exothermic and endothermic? What do you mean by the exothermic and endothermic? Anyone? Okay. Exothermic reaction or exothermic chemical reaction where actually the heat is evolved. From the reaction, the heat is evolved. Okay, and the endothermic reaction where heat is needed. Okay, heat is actually absorbed. Clear? Heat is evolved and heat is absorbed. So these are the type of chemical reaction. This is the property, that is change in temperature. Next and the last, that is change in state. That is the changing its state from the liquid to vapor or from the solid to gas, like this. Change in state also a property of physical reaction also, that is melting of ice from the solid state to the liquid. In case of chemical reaction, the change in state is also a property for the Mahesh, class 10 life science. Class 10 life science matlab which board are you talking, Mahesh? Are you from CBSE or West Bengal? Mahesh, are you from CBSE or West Bengal? So this is also a property of chemical reaction. Clear? Now come to the examples of these properties. First of all, the formation of precipitation. Formation of precipitation. Okay, formation of precipitation. So what we will observe? We are going for a test. What test? Take lead nitrate solution in a test tube and add potassium iodide to this. Okay, so what is the reaction actually? Take some lead nitrate solution in a test tube or in a beaker as it is shown in the figure, and next add potassium iodide solution to it. What do you observe? What do you observe? A yellow precipitate of lead iodide is formed. So we have taken the lead nitrate and added the potassium iodide. And what it will form after the reaction? It will form the lead iodide. It will form the lead iodide, which is actually yellow in color, and form the precipitation or form the precipitate under the beaker. Clear? Clear? So lead nitrate plus potassium iodide, it will form the lead iodide. Clear? It will form the lead iodide. Clear to all of you? Okay, so the next property, that is the change in color. Change in color. So what will be the reaction? Take dilute potassium permanganate in a test tube. So we know the potassium permanganate is actually purple color. Okay, add lime juice drop by drop. So in the potassium permanganate, we will add the lime juice drop by drop. So what we will observe? What we will observe? The observation in our front. That is, the purple color get disappeared and it will form a colorless solution. So potassium permanganate plus lime juice. Potassium permanganate is purple color. When the lime juice is added, it will become colorless. Clear? So this is the example, that is the change in color in case of chemical reaction. The next one, that is sorry, evolution of gas. Evolution of gas. So what is the reaction? Take few zinc granules in a conical flask or in a test tube. Add dilute hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid to this. Okay, handle this acid with care, of course. Handle the acid as well as any chemical substance with care in your lab. So take few zinc granules and add some dilute acid like hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. What do we observe? We observe around the zinc granules, bubbles or few bubbles are formed. Okay, what bubbles? If zinc plus H2SO4, it will form the zinc SO4 plus hydrogen gas. The bubbles are nothing but the bubbles of hydrogen gas. This is the example of evolution of gas in case of chemical reaction, and this is the chemical equation of the reaction. Clear? Next, change in temperature. Change in temperature. So a clear magnesium ribbon about 3 to 7 centimeter long, by rubbing it in with sandpaper, hold it with a pair of tongue and burn it using a spirit lamp or burner it, and color of the ash so formed in watch glass. Burn the magnesium ribbon, keeping away as far as possible from your eyes. Of course, this produce a poisonous gas. So what it will observe? It will increase its temperature. In case of the previous reaction, that is the formation of gas, in case of zinc plus H2SO4, it will form zinc SO4 plus H2O. We will observe the gas bubbles of hydrogen will formed. If we touch the conical or the test tube, we'll feel the heat, because this is also a exothermic reaction. This is also an exothermic reaction. Okay. And the last one, that is change in state. What we have already discussed, change in state. So the chemical, the state change in state of a substance, or in case of your burning of candle. In case of burning of candle, the chemical reaction which is known as combustion. Okay, which is known as the combustion. Okay. Which is known as combustion. By this combustion, it will form the carbon dioxide. Okay, actually the carbon from the wax is formed the carbon dioxide, but the most of the part of this wax actually melt down and it will shows the physical change. Okay, so burning of candle, that is actually change its state. So from the solid to gas, from the carbon to carbon dioxide. Clear? So this is the example, these are the examples of change, chemical reaction, and this is all about the chemical reaction and its equation. Of course, we have discussed few equations. In the next class we will discuss the detailed chemical equation as well as the balanced reaction, etc. So for this class, for the introductory class, we have already discussed the chemical reaction. What is chemical reaction? What are the changes, that is chemical and physical changes? What are the examples of chemical and physical changes in our daily life? As well as what is the chemical reaction and what is chemical equation, and what are the properties of a chemical reaction. Clear? So, and also the examples of all the properties, that is evolution of heat, evolution of gas, etc. Okay, so that's all for the today's class. In the next class we will discuss about the chemical reaction, chemical equation mainly, and balanced chemical equation. Okay, so that's all for the today's class. We will definitely see you on next class. Thank you.